This is John, it's not Robin. John's coming along tonight for some Aeronautica Imperialis. Welcome aboard, John.
Thank you very much.
Robin's sitting off to the side over there, you can't see him, but you might hear him. There's his hand. Yeah, we are. Finally got the Necrons painted and decided it was time to get some Aeronautica Imperialis back on the table.
Very nice.
John has decided he wants to reenact, I don't know which battle it is, but one where one person is incredibly outnumbered by another. He's got 7 dakka jets on his side of the board, and I have just my 3 little Necron planes.
Yeah, whatever, 3 little Necron planes.
Yeah, I mean, they're like 38 points each, which is ridiculous. But there we are, such is life. So, upgrades wise, I've taken 1 for my Night Shroud, which is the Nano Scorpion Thingamawattage, which basically means at any point I can roll a number of dice equal to the amount of damage I've taken. On a 5+ it gets removed.
Nice.
I will forget that.
And I've taken 4 dakka jets with rockets. But everything else is basic.
But they're Ork rockets, so you know, they're basically trash cans with explosives stuffed in them.
It'll work. It'll work.
It probably will. No. So we are all set up already. We're just playing a pretty bog standard sort of dogfight here.
Yep.
And yeah, we're ready to go. You want initiative, and you're making me go first.
I am.
Ooh, okay. So at the beginning of turn 1, I decide to activate one of my Dune Size and put him into a swoop. The idea here is I want to move over to the right-hand flank if I can to try and take on John's army piecemeal, take on the right flank, tear through them and then move through the centre over to the left. But that's the theory anyway. John then moves one of his many dakka jets, 7 of them there, and he's going for a level flight. He's just going to power forward as fast as he humanly can, or orkishly can in this case. I then decide to commit my other Doom Sive at this point. I want to try and use those first so that John has to dedicate a few of his transports early, and then I can get the Night Shroud into a better position, thinking that the Night Shroud was going to be a better fighter, but actually overall the Doom Sives are better. John then activates his next level flight dakka jet and just again powers that one forward. Both of these two are marked with rockets as per the little token on their base, just to differentiate that. Bring them both into line, and then I have to activate my Night Shroud, my third and final. He's going into a stoop. The idea here being that I'm going to bring him up onto my right flank and just face him off a little bit more so he can cover a little bit more of any of the incoming dakka jets that will be swarming my way. John then decides to move the rest of his. They're pretty much all doing a level flight here, so he's just going to move all of them up in turn, moving forwards and then just shooting over towards me, facing in one great big conga line of death. His final 2 over on the other flank also doing level flights, and again he's just going to shift those over to try and fly across the board as quickly as possible to get into the action and try and bring as many guns to bear as he can. Onto the shooting phase, and I decide to activate and jink back so I can keep out of his line of fire a little bit and then try and shoot down one of the first dakka jets that has dared to get too close. So I fire off first and I get 1 hit with my heavy death ray. Unfortunately, no damage from that one. I then decide to follow that up with my twin Tesla Destructors, 8 dice 5s to hit on these ones. A little bit better, 2 hits there, a little bit higher than average, which isn't too bad. And again, I need 5s to damage on these ones. Scoring another couple of 1s. That's 3 1s rolled so far. Pretty terrible starting round of fire for me. John then decides to fire back with his first dakka jet rockets and all into my Night Shroud. Manages to hit 3 times, which is not a good start for me. And of those 3 hits, he needs 5s to damage. And he gets 2 of them. So we then roll on the damage table. And he gets a 2 and a 4. So the 4 means I now lose a structure point and immediately fall into a spin. I also start to smoke at the same time, which is not good news because I haven't fired my Night Shroud yet. And now he cannot do so. I then decide to jink up my other Doom Sive to try and take revenge on that dakka jet that just started putting my Night Shroud into a spin. And then decide to fire with my heavy death ray first, which needs 5s to hit. And I managed to get 2 hits, which is not bad. 3+ to damage, extra damage done on a 4+. I get 1 4, so I have actually done 2 damage here. So that's 2 rolls on the damage chart needed. And I managed 2 3s, which is just basically 2 lots of fire. So that plane, whilst it should be destroyed, actually takes no damage points at all and is just on fire instead. Not so sure about these damage tables. John then decides to unload back with his other dakka jet at the top there on everything, rockets and all, and he manages to get a few hits off there, 4 in fact, rolls for damage on those, and he gets 2 of them. Rolling on that damage table, he gets a 2 and a 3, so again the damage charts help me in this case. It's a sort of swings and roundabouts situation. There's a bit of fire and a bit of smoke going on there with that one. He then decides with the rest of his dakka jets that are within medium range to fire them all off at once. So one of them gets 2 hits in, but sadly no damage. These are all being directed at my Night Shroud. The next one gets 3 hits in. John can roll crazy with those dice of his. No damage again though. And the last one there gets another 3 hits, and that's a lot of hits on those 12 dice when you think he needs 5 pluses. But no more damage, so I can't complain too much about this. The rest of his planes can only fire the rockets if they want to fire anything, and he's decided to keep hold of those until he gets closer. So now it's time to recover from the spin. My Night Shroud is spinning at the minute, so obviously I need to roll for that, and I need a 4+. But I get a 1, so he drops down a level, and he stays in his spin. Then decide to roll for the smoke, and again we just need to keep making our manoeuvring, our handling rolls. Get a 6 for that, so the smoke becomes nothing in this situation. The other guy fails his smoke roll, so now I have to roll on the damage table, and I roll a 2, which means it turns into fire, and I take damage. After the spinning roll, I then have to roll for the fire and the smoke on my ship. So I roll for the fire, and I get a 1. I need to get past a handling roll of 4+, which I fail. I then roll on the table and get a 2, and that means I basically take a point of damage in this situation because he's already on fire. John then rolls for his Ork with 2 fire tokens, and he passes 1, so 1 fire disappears, and then he has to roll for the other one, which of course he gets a 6. So that basically means it turns into a smoke. On to round 2, and it's time to roll off. I get a 1 again. How many 1s have I rolled on these dice? John gets a 6. It's pretty much how things go in this game. John obviously makes me go first because I have 1 that's spinning. I only have 2 left that I can commit, one of which is on fire, and he can't shoot, so I decide to do him first and move him a snap turn. My key here is I just want to try and get away from John and try and stay out of as many fire lines as possible. If I move over here, he's going to have to turn around to come and get me, and that might divert his attention away from my spinning plane. John then moves his rearmost plane and moves him a level flight, guns it forward at speed 8. Putting right at my spinning plane, my poor Night Shroud. And then move my other Doom Scythe, a snap turn. And again, I'm just trying to get away from them as much as I can to divert their attention away from my poor little Night Shroud. I decide to actually move him forward a little bit in the end so that I might actually be close enough to a remaining Ork. So now it's over to John, and again he's going to power all of his planes forward a level flight as fast as he humanly can. The biggest problem with the Orks here is they have so many planes they can move. They're always going to end up with quite a few of them in position where they can hit you. Whereas the Necrons, they have to commit first often. They have to commit most of their stuff before the Orks even have to even think about what they're doing. Which means that you really are going to find yourself outmaneuvered at the start whilst you're outnumbered so much. So John's moving some of this as a stall turn as well. Basically just getting them all lined up and putting me in the crosshairs to blow me to pieces. He ends up with several of them pointing at my poor Night Shroud that's still spinning madly out of control and forming this line of Ork dakka jets just ready to shoot me to pieces. It's not looking good. So into shooting, I decided to jink forwards, and I decided to target the one with the rockets first. Again, I'm going to go with heavy death ray first. I'm close, it's 4 dice. I get 1 hit, I need 3s. I need 3s to damage. Extra damage is on a 3+. So that should be 2 damage table rolls here, but I get it slightly wrong. I roll 2, which basically means I end up belching. He ends up belching smoke. I then realise I need to roll another one on the damage table, and I get a 6, so that actually is a point of damage, and he's now on fire, which means he cannot shoot his rockets this turn at least. So that's 1 small reprieve there. I then realise I've got the Twin Desert Destructor as well, so that's another 8 dice, 5 dice here. 2 hits. You might have spotted I've actually started using John's dice now because I hated my dice so much I put them back in their box. These ones need 4+ damage, and I get 2 damage hits, and I get 5 and 4, and that's another 2 points of damage, so that is enough damage to take him out. First blood to the Necrons. John then decides to shoot back with his dakka jet with the rockets on Pinky there. And he hits a few times, about 3 hits. 2 of them with the rockets though, which is a shame, and he needs 3+ to damage with those rockets, which is a little scary. And he damages with all 3 of them. So 3 rolls on the damage table now. 2 6s, which is I'm on fire twice and take 2 points of damage, and the 1 spins me round. He spins me right round, baby, right round. We start with 1 at the front and then move it clockwise, nice and easy. I've got nothing else to shoot with at this point, so John just unloads the rest of his planes. The red Baron then starts to unload on me as well, and hits with 6 hits. 6 hits out of 8 dice. It's just disgraceful. 5 more damage points there, so 5 more rolls on the damage table here. I'm not looking good, but he only does 1 point of damage on me, so I've got 3 points of damage. I've got 3 fire now and 1 smoke on him. He then unloads everything else he can into the Night Shroud and misses everything with the first one. Doesn't hit with the second one either because he needs 6s to hit, because the Night Shroud is currently spinning out of control, which is a -1 to hit. He then realises the next plane that was closest to me, the green and red one, can't shoot me because he's also got smoke, which means he's a -2 to hit. So he moves on to the last one, and again he needs 6s, and he doesn't get any hits again. We move on to the end phase, so I've now got to start to work on my Night Shroud. He's going to try and get out of his spin. He needs a 4 or more, and I get it! He's no longer spinning, but he is in front of a massive gun array there of Orks. So John rolls for his smoke, and he gets a 4, so that gets rid of the smoke. I then try and get rid of the 2 fires off of my Doom Scythe, and in 4s or more, so I get rid of one of them, so 1 goes out completely. For the other fire, I then roll on the table for again, and I get a 5, so I managed to reduce that one to smoke. So he can shoot next turn, though it will be a -1. Now I've got to roll for this other pink and black Doom Scythe. He has 3 fire tokens on him, so I roll those to start with, and I put 2 out, so 2 fire tokens go out, and then have to roll for the third one to see what happens to it. On a 1 or a 2, he's dead already. But I get a 3, so it turns into smoke, so he can shoot as well. So all 3 of them can shoot next turn. I then roll for my 2 smoke tokens as well on this guy, hoping that I can get some of those put out. I fail both, so they stay as smoke. So then I have to roll on the table for those tokens as well. On a 1 or a 2, they'll turn into fire. Luckily, I managed to keep them just smoking. So both of my Doom Scythes are smoking, and my Night Shroud is now ready and back in business. Beginning round 3, John rolls just a 2 this time round, and I get a 1, because of course I do. So it looks like I'm going first again. I decide to move my Doom Scythe first, and he's moving a stoop. My plan is to try and stay on the outside of the action as much as I can, so I can keep people in my line of fire. John then moves one of his dakka jets, a stall turn. I think the idea basically to try and stay behind where mine are going to end up, but it's hard to tell at this point. I then decide to move my uber smoking Doom Scythe on a bank and spin him round, the theory being that anybody who gets behind him I might then be able to shoot with the other one. John then moves his red Baron, just ploughing straight over towards me, and then I have to commit my Night Shroud again. I'm moving him a bank as well, again moving this guy over with the theory that, you know, I can try and cover the back of the other one with him. We'll have to see how that ends up. And then John moves the rest of his dakka jets. He pretty much can do whatever he wants with them now, because he knows I'm not going to be able to move. I've only got my Jink to try and save me. Starting to form his conga line of death again, his procession of destruction, and I mean everybody's in his line of sight at the minute, so I'm going to be hard pressed to stay out of those gun lines. And the last guy, he's moving a stall turn, so he's going to be able to shoot straight in front, spin round in the air, handbrake turn it, and come straight back at me. So into the shooting phase, I decide to jink my plane forwards just to keep out of a few lines of fire, and then I figure I might as well go after the guy who's coming straight for me. I need 6s to hit this time because I am smoking, and I don't manage any, unfortunately. 2 5s there, very painful, could have done with those. The Twin Desolate Destructions second, and I do get 3 hits with that, so I'm quite happy about that, and I need 4s to damage with this. I get 2 hits, so that's 2 damage rolls on the table, and I get 1 damage point, and I spin him round. And I managed to knock him spinning out of position, so he's now facing exactly the wrong way as well with a 5 roll. Unfortunately, had we not been using the damage tables, he would have just been blown clean out of the sky. But he's now smoking and damaged instead. John does shoot back with his blue dakka jet at my Doom Scythe in front. Try and finish him off, and he does hit with 3 of them, which is 3 6s again. John's dice are brutal. But no damage, so I'm pretty happy about that. I decide to jink back with my Doom Scythe in the end to stay out of line of sight and range. It means he can't shoot in the end, but it means John only has his yellow dakka jet left to fire, so he's going to shoot at that Doom Scythe. He does hit once, but he needs 5s to damage again, and he doesn't get it. At this point I realise my Doom Scythe jinked into the way of the Night Shroud, so I can jink him back and I can still hit the blue plane, but I am at medium distance, so I shoot my 4 shots off, hit once, 4+ to damage, 6s will do extra damage, so I'm looking for a 6 ideally, but I get a 2, so nothing happens. We then move on to the end phase again. John decides to roll for his smoke, which he gets rid of, and it's over to me. So I do the smoke on my doom side that's out the back. I fail it, and I have to see if it turns into fire, but it doesn't, thankfully, so it just keeps smoking away. And then he has 3 smoke tokens on this second guy, so I need to get rid of some of these off of him. And I managed to get rid of 2, which I'm pretty happy about. I then roll for the last one. On a 3+, it stays as it is, and it does. So he is just got 1 smoke left on each. Round 4, I get a 3. I've not rolled above a 3 in these rolls yet, but John fails this time with a 1. Well, I say fails. He rolls less than me, but I decide to go first still, so I can shoot first. And I decide to move my first Doom Scythe, a stall turn. Again, the theory is I want to try and stay out of his way as much as I can. This guy's just racing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. My idea is I'm going to try and get some of my other planes parked in front of him so that he can protect them if anybody tries to get into a tailing position. John then moves his Red Baron up, basically right in front of me. It's just going to be a face-to-face duel. I then decide to move my other Doom Scythe again, trying to commit those first, although in retrospect I should probably be committing my Night Shroud first thing because we don't have any bombing runs to do. And I decided not to move him in front of my other one in the end, and just to try and get him out of the way, because I didn't think that he'd be able to get too many behind me from that position. John then proves me immediately wrong by snap turning his dakka jet right behind me, and then I have to commit my Night Shroud in the end, and he's doing a stoop. Again, a stoop feels like a very manoeuvrable option for me. I was determined I wanted to take down at least 1 plane, so I figured if I could have 1 guy in the arc of 2 of mine, I would definitely be able to take him out. John then has his remaining 4 dakka jets still, and manages to manoeuvre the first one up with a stall turn to be right alongside my Night Shroud, which is not a good place for me. He then snap turns the second one and basically does a quick spin in the air and comes after my other Doom Scythe. The next one has also a snap turn, which I'm not sure John wanted quite so much, but he uses it pretty well in the end to also start to scream towards my other Doom Scythe, but he's not going to be able to get a line of sight on that one this time round. And then he still turns the last one as well. I've noticed John's tactic seems to be to put as many of the same sort of command tokens on at the same time, which I think sort of makes sense in a lot of time because it just makes life easier if nothing else, but also quite often you end up wanting to do a very similar thing. So into the shooting phase, I jink back with my Doom Scythe. It does put him into the line of fire arc from the blue plane, but it keeps him in medium range rather than short range, just to reduce the number of dice John gets to throw at me. It means I get less dice to throw back at him as well, but my damage rolls are much better than his, so just got to hope here. My Twin Tesla Destructors first, and I don't hit with any of them, unfortunately. And then I let rip with the Heavy Death Ray. It looks great, but I only hit one of them because I am smoking. I need 6s to hit, but it is 3+ to damage. I get a 4, which is extra damage, so it's 2 rolls on the damage table here. I could do with 2 4+s, but I get 2 1s. Fantastic, so no damage is taken at all, and he gets spun around instead. John then decides to fire his Red Baron off at my Night Shroud because he's probably not long for this world, and he hits 5 times again. Just horrific amounts of 5s and 6s coming off of John here. But he only scores 1 point of damage, which obviously then we need to roll on the damage table, and he gets a 5, which means that he's smoking again, which is -1 to hit for me again. I then decide to jink him forwards right in front to cape out of the short range of the other red and green dakka jet, and then unload Heck. I hit him once. I could have really done with all of those counting, but only 1 hit, unfortunately. It doesn't damage either because I need 4+. John then retaliates with his green and red plane onto my trailing Doom Scythe. He gets 1 hit in. He needs 5+s to damage me, and he gets it. So now he has to roll on the damage table again, and it's another 4, which puts him into a spin now. Painful. It means he can't shoot. He was my last plane to fire. We then look at the rest of John's planes. It turns out that only his yellow plane can hit me in the end because everybody else is just facing the wrong way. He gets 2 hits off though, even though he's only rolling 4 dice. And that's 2 damage again. But no damage points inflicted. However, he is on fire and he gets spun around again and spins him so he's facing directly towards the other dakka jet. We then roll for the end phase stuff, see what's going on, and I roll for the spin, which I do not manage. He is still spinning away. I then roll for his smoke, which I don't get rid of, and it turns into fire as well. So he's doing really well out of this. He's just spinning and burning up. I then roll for the Night Shroud. I fail the smoke on him as well, which means that doesn't turn into fire, thankfully, but it's still smoking. And then my last one, I roll for the fire, which I fail. That then turns into a smoke, thankfully, and then I roll for the other smoke, which I also fail, and that stays as a smoke as well. How many of those rolls did I pass? Not enough. John has no rolls to make, and that's the end of that round. At this point we decided we're just going to take damage. We're not going to roll on the damage table because, frankly, we'd already been playing this for, I think, well over an hour and some by this point, and we're only 4 turns in. In fact, we might have been near an hour and a half played so far at this stage. We decided we're going to get rid of the damage table at this stage because it was doing our heads in. We'll keep any smoke or fire tokens on, and we'll still roll to remove those at the end of the rounds as normal, but otherwise it's just damage all the way from here on out. So beginning of round 5, again I get a 2 and John gets a 3. Pretty pathetic rolling from me. He then makes me go first again, and I decide to activate my Night Shroud first, doing a stall turn. I figure he can shoot, so I want to try and get him in a position where I think he's going to have some planes left by the end of all the movement. John then level flights his plane right into the middle of the field, ready to take on anything, so those two are facing each other. I then only have my Doom side left, and he's got a 7, a bank, which means I can shift him sort of across the board without having to get too involved in things, in the hope that a lot of John's planes aren't going to be able to get behind me. John then activates his blue dakka jet, gets him in position where he can just about get me in his line of sight, but a jink might save me there. He then also moves his yellow dakka jet with a turn and basically just plows him straight up in front so that I can't completely dodge away from his planes, although I can limit the fire somewhat. His red and green plane then decides to do a stall turn. It looks like he's coming around to try and take out my black Doom scythe. And then the red plane activates last with a turn and stops right behind me, which I'm really thrilled about. John's last black dakka jet plane, another turn, and again manages to get that one right in position to plough straight towards my Night Shroud, who's got a lot of planes breathing down on him. I decide to jink my Doom size back first so I can't be shot at by the red dakka jet, and then shoot at the green dakka jet plane in front. It's minimum range again, so maximum dice. I need 6s and I get 2 of them. So I need 4 pluses to damage here. I need at least one of these to take him out of the sky now. And I do 2 damage to him, so that is enough to blow him out of the sky. Blue then decides to shoot at my Doom scythe and he misses completely. I then have to activate a Doom scythe next. He's the last one who can shoot on my side because the other guy's on fire. I decide not to jink him because there's no way I can get out of any lines of sight, and I decide to fire everything I can into the yellow dakka jet in front of me. I need 6s again because he's also smoking. I get 3 of them, and I do 2 damage, 3 damage in total because of the extra damage. I blow him out of the sky as well. That's 2 Ork planes taken out with 2 rounds of firing. The black dakka jet decides to unload on my Night Shroud and hits 4 times, which is quite a worry, to be honest. And he does 2 damage there, so he's up to 3 damage. It's the green and red dakka jet left to shoot at my Doom scythe. He's minimum range, so it's maximum dice rolls. He gets 3 hits on this one. I've already taken 3 damage, and he does 1 more. He's also blown from the sky. So that's 3 planes taken out in 1 round. I then roll for my spin, which I managed to recover from, and I roll for his fire, and I managed to stop that too, so he is no longer spinning or burning up. He's back in the game. I then roll for my Night Shroud, and I fail to put the smoke out. So then I roll for the smoke, and it turns into fire. Of course it does. So now he can't shoot the next round. Things are still not going great for me. On to turn 6, and we roll off to see who goes first. John gets a 6 this time, and I manage to roll another 3. I then decide to activate my Night Shroud first, seeing as he can't shoot, so I might as well get him out of the way. And he decides to do a stall turn. I slow right down, try and turn on a button, My theory hopefully being here that he can't get into a firing position behind me. John then activates his green and red dakka jet and immediately proves me wrong by doing a turn and parking right behind my Night Shroud. I then activate my Doom Scythe and I decide to use a bank manoeuvre with him because I find the bank manoeuvre really handy to just get almost anywhere and face almost any direction you want to be, as long as you know that the enemy's mostly in front of you, which I then do, put him into a perfect position to hopefully try and protect my Night Shroud. John's Red Baron then moves with another turn and he shifts that guy up to also sit right behind my poor old Night Shroud. He then activates his black dakka jet, instigates a turn manoeuvre and ends up facing that one right towards my Doom Scythe so that he can then start to take some shots on him because he can't get him into a position to take on my Night Shroud, and he activates his blue dakka jet after that, who also instigates a turn manoeuvre to go after my Doom Scythe. So it's 2 planes on each one of mine, which is not looking good for me. I have to shoot first, so I've only got my Doom Scythe and I decide to unload everything I've got at close range on the Red Baron there right in front of me. 5s to hit, 6 hits to start with. The cocked dice did not yield me another hit, but that's 6 hits. I need 4 pluses to do damage on this guy. 2 4 pluses and he's out. He's blown from the sky. John then shoots back with his red and green plane on my Night Shroud. He needs 5s to hits as well. 8 dice, 2 hits. Now I've got 2 wounds left, so my chances here should be okay, but not. John manages to blow him out the sky as well. There goes my poor little Night Shroud. Then John has his black and blue dakka jets left. He decides to unload both at the same time because they're both medium range, which is 8 dice. 5s to hit here. He hits 3 times. I've only got 2 damage left, so I'm not happy, but he doesn't do a single point of damage. So it's on to round 7. Round 7 rolls around. I roll a massive 2, and John gets a 3, and he forces me to move first. I decide to shift with a wing over, the idea here being to move into a position where I can be a bit more defensible around the edge of the board so he can't get into a tailing position behind me. So I do a little spin in a circle, and I end up with almost my back to the wall. John then activates his red and green dakka jet, but he can't quite bring him to bear really well because I can jink out of the way in the position he ends up in. He then uses his blue dakka jet with a stall turn to pretty much face directly at me, and then he activates his black dakka jet, and again with a stall turn manages to face him directly at me as well. So I'm not looking good at this point with 2 planes pointing straight at me. Into shooting, I decide to jink forward with my Doom Scythe so the red and green dakka jet can't hit me, and then unload everything I've got onto the black dakka jet close range. I get 7 hits off here in total, which is pretty brutal. I only need 2 4 pluses here to blow him out of the sky. I roll for damage and get 7 damage points in total. That's enough to take pretty much anything out of action. Absolutely horrific. John then shoots back with his blue dakka jet. It's at close range as well, which is 8 dice. He gets 2 hits, which worries me a little because I've only got 2 damage points left, but he gets no damage. So on to round 8, I'm still alive. Rolling from round 8 now. John manages to only get a 3. I've got a small chance. And I get a 6. I think this is probably the second time I've won a roll off. And I make John go first so that hopefully I can get at least one of his planes in my firing arc. But it does mean that he'll get to shoot at me first. He activates his red and green dakka jet and uses a turn manoeuvre to move into a position that I think he thinks I'm not going to be able to take advantage of. But I've got a snap turn, which means I can pretty much just swoop off to the side, spin round, and just bear down on him. John then activates his blue dakka jet with a swoop, which is not good for me because that means he can move pretty much right up next to me, about as close as you can get. I can smell what he had for breakfast, and he gets to shoot first because I made him go first, something I completely forgotten about. So he unloads at close range on me with 5s to hit and hits 3 times. That's already pretty scary for me. He needs 2 5 pluses and I'm dead, but he only gets 1. I've taken 1 damage. I then jink back and decide to unload everything I've got on the blue plane right in front of me. I've got 12 dice here and I need 5s to hit. I only get 3 hits here. I say only, I mean it's a bit below average, but I've got 3 dice and I need to get 4 plus on at least 2 of them to blow him out of the sky here. And I get 1. So he's not taken out. It's not looking good for me. We're on to round 9. We roll off. John gets 3. Can I pull off a second win? No, I cannot. I roll a 2, and John makes me go first. I've got a snap turn, decide to gun it as far away from John as I humanly can, or necronally can, hoping that he can't get both of his planes into position. He then activates his green and red plane with a turn, and now this is a slightly controversial moment because he turns, he moves forwards, and at the end of the manoeuvre he turns to face the wrong direction. He now has my Necron plane right in his line of sight when he should actually be facing away from me. He then activates his blue dakka jet and shoots him forwards as well. I'm in direct sight of both of his planes. I'm in a lot of trouble here. There's no point in me jinking because I can't keep away, so I decide to just try and blow blue out of the sky with the 1 damage point he has left. I get 4 hits on him, which is pretty good. I only need to get 1 4+ to turn him into smoke. I roll the damage and I get about 4 damage on him in the end, so I turn him into dust. John now has his red and green dakka jet, which shouldn't technically be able to see me right now because of the manoeuvre, but it doesn't really matter too much. He gets 2 hits. He needs 5+ to blow me to pieces. I've got 1 damage point left. Can I survive? No. I am destroyed. The Necrons have been blown to pieces, all taken out the sky. The remaining Ork dakka jet pilot flies home to go and boast and get himself some squig brew.
Oh, victory to the Orks in the end. Curse you, John. Curse you. We've been talking about this throughout the game, but I do think that the extra damage rules stretch things out so much.
Well, this is only 120 points, and we're basically what, the game 10, 12?
That's half 10, so we played for over 2 hours.
2 hours,
so
yeah. And I've never known it takes so long. The extra damage just...
Because every damage point you do has a 50-50 chance of not actually doing any damage at all, and just either applying smoke or fire to you, which can either reduce your to hit or stop you being able to attack at all. And even if you do the damage, you might be smoking or on fire, or you might be into a spin as well. And I can't work out who it disadvantages more. You piled on loads of damage in the beginning. One of my guys had about 4 or 5 tokens.
Yeah, 5 tokens, so he should have been down, but he wasn't.
He wasn't. He was just on fire.
And I was just thinking, if you're an Eldar player and you'd got that on you, you'd put all of that out on 2+ anyway.
Yeah, that is quite...
And so the Eldar would just kind of shake it off.
Yeah, whereas they would be... I think for Necrons, because they're kind of a bit like Eldar in that they're elite, but they have a really rubbish roll. So they're only 4+. I mean, it's my dice as well, so even more rubbish.
It's a nice idea. I think it's nice for a small game. For a big game, I wouldn't.
I think if you were playing like maybe 50, 75 points, maybe it would help just to keep the planes a little bit alive a little bit longer, maybe. Having said that, I mean, if we'd have rolled more 4+ when we were doing the damage, then they'd just be taken out, especially your guys who only have 2 damage anyway.
Yeah.
But
even if you were to play the big full 250 points...
And you know what? I forgot to do my scarab roll thing.
You did, but you had 3. I was wondering if you were going to wait until you had 4 points left.
No, I would have done it if I'd remembered.
You had 3.
So I had 3, so if I'd have rolled 3 dice...
No, let's not do that.
let's pick at that thread. I would have got a wound back.
Which means you wouldn't have died.
Well, possibly not, but then you couldn't just throw pieces anyway, so it's hard to tell. But I told you I'd forget it.
You did forget it. But I like the extra damage rules for small games, but for big games, once you get...
this isn't even a big game.
No, but this is a medium game.
So, medium-sized game.
Yeah, you only had 3 Necron planes.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So 120 points is a medium-sized game.
Yeah, true. I can't work out if the additional damage rules favour bigger multi-wound planes more, or cause them more hindrance because it reduces their chance to hit and it reduces the number of times they can, if they're put into a spin.
I think it causes them more hindrance.
I think it might do, because with the dakka jets especially, you can only take 2 damage anyway.
Yeah,
so
don't bother about it.
The chances are it's not going to affect you for too long before you're dead. So yeah, I like them. I like the flavour they're trying to add with these additional rules, but I don't think personally I would bother with them.
No. What I did think was interesting is these are the latest planes out and these are the earliest planes out, but they're still quite well balanced.
That was a pretty balanced game.
I mean, it came down to a dice roll at the end.
And halfway through, we kind of went, right, let's get rid of the rules, let's just crank it up to 11, and I then started to blow your guys out of the sky.
Yeah.
But you started to do damage up on me as well, so it didn't suddenly run away with either side at all. So, yeah, I do like the fact that it does still feel like a very balanced game.
It's very balanced. And that was good fun. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming on board. I definitely enjoyed that. Robin didn't, because he's been sitting over in the corner just... we'll wake him up in a minute for a game of elect counts. But the only thing I still struggle with a little bit is this chart. It's... I mean, you can do something very whizzy like with these, and like John's done, you can have some little sort of like...
You can download those from John's website.
You can, from John Grotman. Just do check that out. You can download it from there. It's just, I think, if you play the game more... they become a bit more second nature, I feel, and you'll be just like, I want to get over that way so I know that's going to be a swoop, or I want to be basically where I am now but facing a different direction so I know that's going to be a wing over or something like that.
Yeah, I started to find in the game I want to start using 3 a lot more, so I could basically turn in circles to try and keep on top of you.
And near the end, it was definitely much more a cat and mouse game where I had to move my 1 or 2 planes before you moved your 3 or 4 planes. But then I knew I was going to be able to probably jink out of the way with somebody, so that really always robbed you of at least one person to shoot.
I think what won the game, actually, in the end, is the fact that there was more Ork, and that gave me the initiative more often, so I could work out where you were.
That was really tricky, although generally, as long as you can get 1 plane in sight, you can only shoot at 1 plane anyway. I think if you could possibly target more planes in your arc, if you had multiple weapons...
But because the Orks are lacking manoeuvrability, if you can't work out where they are, then you're doomed.
Yeah.
So you've got to crank up the numbers.
So I mean, I still like this game. I know we haven't played it very much recently, but I still like this whole cat and mouse swinging around. That, you know, if you make them go first, they're going to get to shoot first, and that will have, especially with these guys, they just erase someone if there's somebody nearby. It's just like rub them out straight away. But yeah, overall I still really enjoy this game, and I think we need to play more of it, Robin. Robin's still asleep. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Do let us know in the comments below if you'd like to see the Eldar on the channel, if you'd like to see John back with the Eldar, or if you'd like to see some more Imperial or Space Marines, or more Orks, more Necrons. Do let us know what you'd like to see next. Maybe we'll play a mission, we'll have some bombing runs or something, because I do think, and I did mean to say before, but I think out of the 2 Necron planes, you're better off taking the smaller, lighter one. It's not much different in points, and it has 1 less hull value hit point, but it's got 2 beefy guns, so I think it's just much more.
I would only ever take bombers though in a game where there's actual ground targets.
Yeah, but if you don't know what you're doing up front, it's just a case of and
we
only had 3 planes painted, so you know we were kind of stuck there a little bit. There you go. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you soon on the Agents of Sigmar in the Skies. Bye.